Welcome to episode 14 of the Sonic Symphonic podcast with me, your host, Ben Sebastian. Some of you, regular viewers, may know the name Adrian Benegas, and welcome to the new guys that don't. So, before we go anywhere with this episode, check this out. That was, of course, the Revenant from the Revenant album title track, a very fast-paced, beautiful album. This guy's compositional skills are crazy. They're so Machiavellian in their approach to music theory. And as I said I would, I got an opportunity to sit and speak with the Revenant himself. This is my interview with Adrian Benegas. Welcome to my podcast, such as it is. It's great to meet you finally.
Cheers.
Cool. I was actually giving the Tragul stuff. I listened to the whole catalogue of that this morning, and
okay.
You know it's you just by the sound, the composition style. It's got your name written all over it. I particularly loved. I think it was the first one. It's called Bennu. Yeah,
Bennu. That's correct.
I absolutely loved that. Absolutely loved that. It was definitely a good listen. So, you featured quite heavily on my channel in the last couple of weeks. And for good reason. So 2017, it seems to have all sort of kicked off for you. So I know you're a self-taught musician. What were you doing between sort of then and 2017 when you've hit the masses, so to speak?
Well, I just I had a lot of other projects, like for example, to name one, Pergana, which is on Spotify too.
Oh, okay.
But they were like the first steps. So to get some experience, to experiment a bit. I tried to form a lot of bands. I haven't, I couldn't do it for many reasons. And so in 2017, as you said, I just decided to go myself. I said, okay, if I can have a band, I will do it myself, everything. So I started to create Tragul with a very different vision, like a project, like Avantasia, but with female vocals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I started working with many musicians from all over the world, recording. I tried to do something, how to say, something unique, new, like releasing only singles. That was the format of Tragul, a band that only works on singles, track by track releases, not an EP, not a long play, just singles with a very beautiful visual and that kind of stuff. So we started to release the first Bennu, as you said, the message or something like that. I don't remember very well.
No. There's
passed a lot of time.
there's a lot.
But
carry on.
Yeah, but before the Pergana and stuff like that, I just experiencing a lot with music. So that's the way I learned to compose. Because as you said, I just learned by myself. I've never went. Well, one time I went to a music school, but I got bored. So
yeah, okay.
I drop it.
Okay, so that's something we share. I went to it's a place called North Hertfordshire sort of music college, and it was supposed to be quite a good one. I got myself in on the basis of my composition and my playing, but throughout the course, I found that it was like you had all these different ingredients, in the forms of different musicians, and they were trying to sort of put them all in the same pot. And what was coming out was grey soup. It's like putting every ingredient into the dish, and it just didn't. Yeah, and I felt that I was losing myself a bit. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think music school is good for some, but for me, I think that if you study a lot of how to say, like theoretically music, you will abandon yourself with the human being is feeling, is emotion, is I don't know how to explain, but I think if you study in a square form, you will end up like a copy paste of other musicians. Yeah.
I mean, But yeah, I mean, you can feel boxed in, you know.
Yeah, that's
if your makeup, if your like psychological makeup is someone that likes to play with the rules, perhaps studying in an environment which is quite rigid and learning something that's quite rigid, that's something that we would be fearful of and we would probably push away from. And so we go out we do our own path. But there's certainly bits of it that stick and are useful. But yeah, I understand your point. And yeah, I wonder if there's some synergy again. You mentioned you had bands and then for different reasons they didn't sort of work out. Was this perhaps because it was in my case, you know, I was quite prolific in my composing, so I was doing a lot. I move at quite a pace, which when you've got band members and they have to turn up on Wednesday, and then you've got the boyfriends and the girlfriends. Yeah. Okay, cool. So you just gone out and just done your own thing, which is, you know, that's really, I'm really happy to hear and see this, you know, success, because it's a kind of path that I thought I was the weirdo, I was the odd one out, but you know, here's someone else that's doing it. But you've managed to sort of come from relative obscurity to, in 2017 and then 18 and then onwards, you've worked through some quite substantial names. How did that kind of come about?
Well, to be honest, it started with Pergana. I never found a drummer that fit with my music. I once wrote a mail to Alex Holsford from Rhapsody, and my friends said, "You are crazy. He will never answer you. What are you doing?" I've never fit. So if you don't fit anywhere, you have to make your own trail, your own way. So that's what I did. I was stubborn, so I wrote him, and fortunately for me, he liked what he listened. There was just MIDI demos, horrible demos. Sorry, Alex, if you are saying this. The demos were awful or horrible MIDI. At that time, I've learned to use a software called Guitar Pro. I don't know if you know that.
Yes.
So I did everything with Guitar Pro at the time. So you can imagine how it sounded. Very plastic and stuff. But he trusted. He saw something in the song that maybe could work. So we started working, and he offered me. He said, "Hey, if you need a bassist, I have my brother is the bassist of Blind Guardian. You can talk to him." And I say, "Okay." Wow. I will take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's how it started. And I started to work with them. I started to learn a lot that, that helped me to get some great experience, so to work in a more professional way. So I started to learn, and then finally, when I started Tragul, I called them again, the Holstar brothers, and I started to write other musicians. I always said that you have to give it a try. I just send the demos. I just ask, because if you never knock the door, no one will open. So
yeah, we have a similar expression saying, if you don't ask, you don't get. And I was in a conversation with a friend of mine. He's an Adrian from Phoebus for Night, a band that I feature on the podcast. And I was saying, I've got this mad idea. I'm going to write to this person. I'm going to write to that person. I haven't done it yet. And I think I'm getting in my own way. And I think what you've done is an example of, all these built up sort of fears and like negative self-talk and all that. It's quite a simple thing now to take advantage of the technology and write to someone, and you've got nothing to lose and possibly potentially everything to gain, because look at the path that it's put you on. I mean, it's It's been quite a trajectory. So the single aspect, I kind of like that. I like building albums and sort of like grandiose projects. But I was thinking of doing sort of like, because I'm quite a prolific writer, so I was thinking of doing single, and following that medium. Is the reason you adopted that because are you quite a prolific composer? You're always composing when you can?
Yeah, but I think it depends. It depends because in terms of songwriting, I need to express something. It's not that I am here sitting and just saying, I'll try to make some noise here and there. Mm-hmm. I always have something to say before I start to write. So, the singles came in a natural way, most because of I wanted to do something different. Also because in terms of, to be honest, in terms of money, it fits better. Feel better with I could do at that moment. So I started doing that and getting fans, getting the reception of the media, etc. So I started to grow, and then I ended up writing albums. But it was like I took that path to go slowly and experiencing many things to understand things, not only musically but also in the music industry, to get me a name, that kind of stuff. But in terms of songwriting, it depends because, as I said, I can write a single note without knowing what I want to express. It's like a need I have.
Okay.
That's the reason why I can't fit in a band, as you said before, because in a band you go and you meet everyone and you start just jamming. At some point you start writing, and that's not my thing. Okay, because I am a control freak, maybe as you are.
Maybe yes.
So I need to, I need to write every single note, and every single note has a meaning on my composition. With the lyrics too, I have to imagine the whole picture. It's like I always start with the lyrics, for example. I can't start with melodies or something like that. I just need to focus on something.
So do you have a whole stack of lyrics somewhere, or bits that you started that you've got in a drawer somewhere? Or do you just write something and go, that's it, and then off you go?
Yeah, that's a better fit with me. As I said, when I have a strong feeling of something, I go and write and try to finish the lyrics. I don't have many ideas there, and then I pick up and no. I just write and it is done, because I've learned through the years to focus myself on what I want. So it's kind of connection with myself. So I know exactly what I want to say when I write. So I do that the way.
When you say that it took you a number of years to learn that way, what was that process like? What triggered that process?
I think it's I always saw music like a personal psychologist. I don't know how to say, to express, but it's like I use music to drop all my things, all my stuff, and it's a very introspective journey. So I think that was the point that allowed me to express myself through music and the introspection. I always try to. Well, when I was a kid, I started to do that kind of stuff.
Same.
Like I was always like, as I said on my song, an orphan of life. I've never have a lot of friends or something. I'm more like a lone wolf.
Lone wolf, yeah. I was just about to say that. It was on the tip of my tongue. Yeah.
So that's what I use also just mentioning the wolf on Poison Love.
Yeah,
To match with that. So
yeah, I caught that.
So I was always alone. So I have plenty of time to analyze myself, to to understand myself, to understand how to react to some elements that come from other people, from situations, from frustrations, and all that stuff ended up into music. I think music is magic, so I use it to heal myself. To heal myself. It's like I need to how to say, to cage the bad feelings into music, and okay, I am feeling better now. It's like it's like introspection. It's catharsis through music.
That's perfect, exactly. One of my type of missions with setting up this podcast and this channel was not only to be able to listen to some awesome music and meet some awesome people and promote that, but but to kind of encourage musicians to kind of continue their craft as a means of overcoming the vicissitudes, the issues in life. And I've been through stuff, and I'm sure you have, and as has everybody, but I think it's important because there's been times in my life where I've dropped music and it's like the suffering increased. I mean, have you ever let go of the music for a period of time?
Yeah, and it was tough. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Yeah, because as I said, music is to put in a segue, my drug to deal with the world. It's my refugee. It's my home where I feel safe. When I feel not only bad because last week I've read a quote from Peterson. I don't know if you know
Jordan
him.
Peterson. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Read his book. I listen to his podcast regularly. Okay, so maybe you don't know a huge amount of my backstory, but there was a time where it was quite dark for me. I was a cocaine addict in a very big way, and I was losing everything. And I used to go to sleep when everything had all run out and you're feeling really bad in the early hours of the morning. And I'd listen to documentaries because watching the TV was too much. It sketched me out.
Yeah.
So that monotone voice of a documentary was soothing. And then I listened to like a podcast. I think it was the Joe Rogan podcast. And then eventually this guy called Jordan Peterson came up as a guest, and I was listening to the stuff that he was saying and I was like, this stuff is right, this guy's bang on point, and I bought his book, 12 Rules for Life, and it was that period of time reading that book, that's when I started to make small fundamental changes. I managed to slowly kick the habit, wrote some music, faced up to the fact that I was going to serve a bit of a prison sentence for financial fraud because of the cocaine, and I started to carve a plan for the future, but knowing that my immediate future was going to be shit. Prison is not great. Recovering from the drug and having no friends because everyone is into drugs and stuff. All of that was not great. But I've gone on a bit of a path here. But it's that Jordan Peterson was the seed. He was the acorn of this, such as it is. And of my happiness and success today.
Yeah, that's great because there are always ways to escape from many things, and we have to use them for our own proposals. So I think when I've read that quote from Peterson that said that life is not bad or good things, but an adventure, it clicked me. And I said, okay, it's good to have bad moments. It's good to have bad feelings. But the question is what we do with those. What we use for. Sorry.
No worries.
We can use our bad feelings to something better, like a fuel, like I said on my song Adrenaline, like a fuel to escape from those dark places, you know. And now you mentioned the drug stuff. I must say that I admire you very much, because
thank you so much.
You know, I think that demon is huge.
Thank you.
The only thing, from the first moment that you started fighting that, it's very admirable. Not all do that, so my respects.
Thank you. 698 days sober now.
Bravo. That's great. You know, it's and that's the whole story. Just mentioning about my albums, for example, the Revenant story is about a process of an adventure, but it's a spiritual inner adventure. It's not imagination. It's more metaphorical than imagination. And I think if you know the songs, Cadavria, for example, is the prison, but it's also the mind. You know, it's where our demons dwells. You know.
Cadavria was sorry to interrupt, but Cadavria was it was that, or Face to Face, in that podcast episode that I did. And it was such a hard choice. It was a really hard choice. Something you have to be super like proud of is the fact that you've written some absolutely astonishing music, and it's so hard to pick a best track out of, you know.
Thank you.
And I hear lots of stuff, and you're most welcome. It's a compliment that is absolutely well deserved in your case. And I think when we talked about the psychology of it all, it's possibly how that your psychology has traveled through the music, and it's kind of resonated with myself, you know. It strikes so many chords, and it's probably why I'm such a complete lover of your sounds. Your transitions and all this kind of stuff are all sort of, they're dynamic as emotions are, you know. And you can hear the anti-music theory type of stuff going on. Yeah, because you'll be going, like me, some of my music, and I don't know how much you've heard, if anything, of mine, but I like to sort of go along this path and then change it, and you're off over there, and then you're doing that universe for a bit, but then a bit of that comes in, and then you think, we're back to familiarity, and then boom, you're over that way. And your music does that. It does that a lot, and I love to hear music like that, because I like to write music like that, you know.
Yeah, you know, it's like I said before, music to me is magic. So
it is.
I just flow with the magic. I try to ask the music what the music wants to say. It's not like a formula I use, like, okay, I will use a verse, a chorus, and etc. Maybe that could work sometimes, but I try to just flow with the music and the feeling what I want to express. And I think the fundamentals of music as a composer should be freedom. You know, freedom is the word that represents pretty much what I do. When I write something, I try to imagine a whole picture of it, like a movie, you know, in my mind. That's what I said. It's an introspective journey to me, because I close my eyes, like meditation, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I try to put myself into the scene of the song, I want to say. For example, in Cadavria, I imagine like you know, that's what I used a lot of time signatures, for example, to express Cadavria, because it was hell. It was like a apocalyptic place, you know, very, very Lovecraft, and I love Lovecraft. So I try to imagine a place with those the great ones there ruling and stuff like that. So that's what I couldn't use, like a simple signature 4/4 signature. For example, I use 5/4, 6/8, 4/4, 3/4,
Yeah.
like changing, because it's chaotic. It's so I try to make the music work for the lyrics too, and so that's the way I write songs. I try to imagine a whole picture, and I try to be free as possible, to express correctly what I want to say. It's I would like to be recognized someday
Yeah.
as a theatrical metal composer. It's,
Yeah.
I don't like that. I want to do something new, and that's what I use. I try to make things freely without. Of course, I use elements from other styles like power metal, symphonic metal. My influences. That's pretty cool. But you can create something new from that, and that's what I try to do with my music. I try to express, to take the listener to put the listener to the very place where I wrote the song.
Understood.
And and Cadavria, for example, it's
a true emblem.
It's like it's a metaphorical place for depression, for example. It's so the whole Cadavria is my mind, and I went through depression, for example, and tried to express that. In depression, the demons dwells. The demons try to lie to you, and it's your own mind. So you have to, like, magically separate you from yourself and see yourself like in a mirror, And I don't know if you like video games, but
yes. I'm not always good at them, but I'm not always good at many of them. But go on, continue.
Well, I remember a game called Zelda: Ocarina of Time. At some point in one temple, the Temple of Water, if I remember correctly, you fight against your shadow self, and your shadow self in the game did exactly what you did. If you put with the sword, he did the same, like a mirror. So that's kind of inspiration I had for Cadavria. It's like putting yourself against yourself, and try to, I don't know, to defeat yourself with magic tricks. It's like tricking your mind. So you can understand things and overcome things.
Understood. Yeah, that's. I've not played that Zelda game, but it's. I was a big lover of the Final Fantasy series when I was younger. But I get that you've kind of got to analyze the best and the worst of yourself in order to tame the worst of yourself and the tricks that your mind plays on you. And in Buddhism, which is the religion that I kind of follow, it's all about, our whole life experience is one of suffering and sort of mindfulness that we're conditioned to seek out things that annoy us, like, oh my God, this queue's so bloody long, or so and so's 15 minutes late, it's the end of the world. Our mind is always, if you sit there late at night, your mind will always look at ways to annoy you. Yeah. So, but to be able to catch that, recognize it for what it is, and then carry on, and you end up being much more positive. And the positivity is the result of your investment in the music and the impact it has on listeners like me. And I just very wish you so many more listeners, like me. I really do. If there's anything I can do to scream Adrian Benegas from the top of the rooftops, I will. I absolutely.
Thank you. As I said, it's, for me as a composer, it's important to express yourself as you are. That's the way you connect with others. Otherwise, you are just faking and you are being someone you are not.
Yeah.
And as I said, to me, the most important thing is not musical theory is not. It's more introspection. It's more going deeper into yourself and know yourself clearly with your demons, with your angels, with everything.
Yeah.
So that's the way I learned to make music. It's something I took from esotericism.
Mm-hmm.
Since I was a kid, I was very into that. So I've learned a lot of stuff that. So I try to use esoterical techniques to understand myself, to go deeper, as Eckhart Tolle, Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah.
He said he said some. I read some in one of his books. He said, "You have to be the thinker behind the thinker.
Yeah,
you are not your mind."
That's
okay.
That's big.
Who are you? Who are you? Is your mind that thinking, or you are thinking? Who are you? Because when a thought, it could be a negative thought, comes to me, for example, I try to analyze. This is me. Is me thinking, or is something else there?
Yeah.
Hidden there, and that kind of questions works to me into music, because I identify them and I express them like demons, for example, the demons of whatever. So it's pure expression. It's understanding yourself, seeing things from behind, from above,
Please,
so that's
please.
the way
Please send me the link.
Face to face.
Yeah, exactly.
Face to face with yourself.
Yeah. Send me the link for that book with that quote. I think the name of the guy that you said when you asked the question, do you know who it was? The Wi-Fi blipped out a little bit, but just send me a link. I'm always into that. The
book is called The Power of Now.
Okay.
The Power of Now.
Yep, got it. Okay, that is definitely on my will be on my Amazon reading list. So, right. Well, what next? So, what's happening next? We've got a few minutes left.
I want to announce something that maybe maybe not. But the new album that I'm preparing is the second part of the Revenant. So the story continues. Okay.
Yes.
The story continues, and as you may know, the first one ended up when the Revenant escaped from the prison of Cadavria, his own mind, his own hell, and then the next story begins from that point. What happened next? I can't say too much, but it's like the whole story. The new story is regarding spiritual world. It's like when you. It's like Eckhart Tolle says to this author I recommended you. He said that we are all frequencies. Everything is frequency. So we had to tune in into a new scene. Tune in into a new
signal,
vibrational stage to match with new stages that we don't see at some point, because we are in a different frequency. Yeah. So it's like the full concept behind the new album is like changing our vibrational stages to know things, that unknown things that we don't see. It's like the world, the spiritual world of spirits.
Yeah.
Itself. So
okay. Oh man. No,
I can say too much. It's difficult to express because I don't want to spoil.
When is this coming out? When?
Well, it's still secret. But on December, I will be announcing the new stuff. Many great things happened from the Revenant to this time. So I am very looking forward to share with you all the new stuff.
So it's in December, right? So I'm going to stay awake all December because I want to be one of the first to know. Excellent.
But as I said, be prepared to enter to spirits world.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
with a new album.
More than happy. I cannot wait to hear what you've produced. And you're an exceptional keyboardist, a fantastic composer, and an all round great person as well. This has been an absolute pleasure. It's been an absolute journey.
Oh, thank you.
It's been a great journey from just, picking up your music, one podcast episode, diving into the EP and culminating in an interview. And I don't want it to stop there. We'll hear from you again in December. No doubt you'll be on the podcast again. And hopefully I get to talk to you for a longer period of time, maybe, in a few months down the line, because I could feel I could just talk forever. You share a lot of philosophies. But closing up, I suppose, to viewers watching, send the messages to people that you're scared to send messages to. Don't get boxed in by standards and industry like things and theory. Just be yourself, be authentic, and just go for it. Because, as you say, life is a journey, and that's it. That sort of thing.
Yeah, it's cool to have basics, theoretically speaking, but then you have to explore. You have to know yourself. That's the point. And of course, the experience will give you the tools to express yourself. Thanks for having me here. I know my English is shit.
No,
but hopefully you understood me.
It's probably is it Spanish? Spanish you speak? Yes.
Yeah, Spanish.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, but I can say "Me llamo Ben," and I can "Cómo te llamas?"
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
¿Cómo estás? I bits I picked up in school, but your English far surpasses my Spanish by a million miles. Okay. We got less than a minute, so we'll wrap it up. Look, it's been absolutely fantastic. It's been great. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. So we'll speak again soon, I'm sure.
Oh, it's great to have to be here, and as you said, if
10 seconds.
Time sucks. So.
Time sucks.
Thank you for everything, and that's it.
No problem. We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Take care.
You.
Cheers,
Thank
man.
You.
Bye.
And that was my interview with the magnanimous, magnificent, musical magician of a man that is Adrian Benegas. Stay tuned, connected to my channel for more interviews, more fantastic music, and I just thoroughly enjoyed all of that. So I hope you did too. Episode 14 of the Sonic Symphonic podcast, over and out.